My dad left my mom when my sister and I, nearly adult male, were little kids. I was 4, I think, and she was 6. We never saw him again, and our mom was left to raise us solo. We found out 2 years after the fact that Dad was married again and was raising kids his wife had. When I was 13, my mom and sister died in a car accident. I stayed with some family for several months before Dad decided he would fight for me. Finally, after a legal battle, the judge decided I should reconcile with my father, and I sent out of state to live with him and his new family. I'm nearly an adult now, counting down the days for freedom from this place and these people. My dad has tried harder than ever since I lived with him, but it was too late. My step-siblings are the most annoying people on the planet. They jump to defend my dad. They always tell me to give him a chance, that he's a great dad and I don't know him as they do. They also claim my sister is their sister and have mentioned how they wish I would share some photos of her with them because she is, quote, our sister. I told them my sister would not have liked them calling her that. I would be told I couldn't know that, blah blah blah. That's over the years, it's been a lot of therapy. Cup. My dad and his wife trying to convince me I should be part of their family and a lot of my wants being ignored. The biggest one is to go home to my actual family. My step-siblings keep mentioning how hard I am on Dad, how great he is, and saying they don't understand my rejecting him. A few days ago, Dad wanted me to go on a father-son fishing trip with him, and I turned him down. They barged into my room and started telling me how wrong I was. His stepkids are 2 teens and 1 tween. They said I needed to give him a chance, and how I'm a bigger idiot than he ever was. They asked why I couldn't appreciate that he was a good dad to them, and was there for them, even if he couldn't be there for me. I lost it. I told them to shut the heck up, and they can't seriously expect me to be grateful for that. I could see they were upset, and I told them I had no desire to care about them, or him, or their mom, and that I wanted them to act like I wasn't there because I'd be gone soon enough. My dad and his wife were furious. Honestly, the stepkids were too. They all said that I was out of line and was taking my anger at my dad out on them. I told them they were harassing me and were selfish to think I would be glad the deadbeat who abandoned my sister and me was there for 3 random kids. I said if anything, I would love to see if they'd say the same thing when he one day walks out on them too. Let's just say things are tense now. Am I the idiot? Hard, not the idiot. They needed to hear it, and quit trying to act like your trauma isn't real. You are correct in your feelings that your dad was a little too late to salvage his relationship with you. Just with you, you lost the 2 people who were always with you when your dad wasn't, and now you're expected to accept and be grateful that he came back. Like no. If your dad wanted to be a dad to you, he would have never abandoned you guys in the first place, or at the very least continued to visit you and your sister. I agree. The step-siblings probably don't understand that they're worsening the situation by talking about what a great and actively involved father he is. And it seems he's just trying to be a better father, because Ope's mom and sister died. He probably felt he had all the time in the world to make things right, and his daughter's death shook that narrative. I can understand why that would be a kick in the butt to step up. This way of relocating him to a new state and removing him from his other support wasn't really a smart move, though. I'm wondering if your dad got government benefits for you when your mom died, and that's why he didn't want you living with relatives. Also, don't be surprised if Dad is actually pocketing it, because that's what my bio mom did until the benefits ended. Up, you should have Social Security survivors benefits coming to you right now. Please ask the family you lived with or your mom passed about that. Not your bio father. His parents, who use their kids as sources of income, should not be parents. Update. Am I the idiot for telling my step-siblings they can't seriously expect me to be glad my dad was there for them when he wasn't for me? During a fight between us a while ago, I asked if my dad would abandon his stepkids and wife if it made me forgive him, and he said yes. I never said anything about it to anyone, though I know I could have easily used it to hurt them, but I never wanted to be that much of an idiot no matter how much I disliked my step-siblings or my... Though partially, what I said came up a couple of hours ago. Dad wanted me to spend some time with him. He wanted to discuss the incident with my step-siblings and, quote, find a way for us to move forward as a family. I was never going to agree to that. And once he figured it out, he started getting increasingly agitated. And then in front of his wife and stepkids, he yelled at me, asking if abandoning his family would really make me forgive him because he'd do it. He'd do anything. He'd give them all up for me to give him a chance and let him try to make it up to me. He didn't hold back at all. It hit the fan, and his stepkids are all crying in their rooms while he and his wife are yelling at each other. But I think this might help me get back to my family sooner because I don't see his marriage surviving this. From what I'm hearing, he's telling his wife he needs to win my love. And she's furious that he would hurt her kids like that. Oh man. Look, probably not the idiot, but your dad is a piece of work. That update is one of the messiest things I've ever read on here. However you feel about your dad, please try to understand that what he just did has hurt his stepkids unbelievably. Wow, what an update. Dad is so determined to prove a point. He's willing to go scorched earth on his current wife and her children to prove a point with you. And realistically, even though you said it probably as a sarcastic jest, no, you'll not forgive him if he left his current wife and 3 stepkids for you because that's just going to double prove what an idiot he is. Gee, thanks for leaving me. Going Dad when I was a kid and never seeing me. And double thank you after my mom and sister passed away for ripping me from whatever family I had to come live with you. So I guess I'll just forgive you because you're such a great dad to the 3 other kids that aren't even yours. It's heartbreaking. He's playing a losing game. You're almost 18. At 18, you're free to go. You've already said you're counting the days. He needs to accept your decision. He abandoned your mom's sister and you never saw him again. What did he think was going to happen? I'm so sorry. Oh, and please update us after your 18th birthday. My husband and I, female, had our first child at 18 male when we were just 17 years old. At first, we weren't in a very good financial situation, and it only got better when Matt was 9. We both work well-paying jobs, buy spacious homes, and have our luxuries. We had 2 more children, male pre-tween and younger female, and as we could not stay at home all the time, we hired a nanny, a 45 male, to take care of the little ones. Matt had a complicated personality change at 11, and we put him in private school, and maybe the contact with other teenagers brought out a selfish and elitist side of him. Actually, we tried our best to improve it, but with the onset of adolescence and stubbornness, it just seemed to get worse. It got better when my husband and I decided that age 16, he would work part-time, so we could start taking financial responsibility. And that seemed to give him a reality check as we cut support on his perks. This year, after the worst period of the global issue, my husband and I decided to go on an international trip. And instead of giving me a vacation at home, we decided we would take her, not to work and pay for everything. I don't live in the US on a random day. Matt overheard me telling my husband that I was planning to pay for a first-class seat for me and her son for her to enjoy as we did. He asked why we should do this. We were already paying for everything, so let her go economy if she couldn't afford first class. I was shocked. I said it was mean to say this, and that she was an important person for our family who gave up having time for her own child to care for mine. It's the least I could do. He still stood his ground. So I said if he sees it that way. I said I'd buy him an economy seat, and he'd have to turn around to pay for an upgrade for him to see how privileged he is to have parents who can pay. He nodded, thinking it was a joke, even though I said it wasn't. As the months went by, I warned him that his ticket was economy and he didn't believe it. Finally, on the day of the trip, like a shocked Pikachu, he was startled when he realized I had told the truth. He threw a tantrum in the middle of the airport, saying that 10 hours of travel would be very uncomfortable. I just replied, "You had 6 months to gather yourself. You've been warned." The flight was okay, but Matt was outraged the entire trip, saying it was almost torture, and that we had gone too far. I swear my husband agrees with me, but my parents said I went too far doing this. Am I the idiot? But the idiot? He messed around and found it. Doesn't sound like those elitist attitudes really left him. Just simmered for a while. Also, my parents said I went too far doing this. Yes, you tortured him by making him sit with the peasants. How awful. He sees 10 hours in economy as torture, and he encouraged you to let your nanny and her son endure it. That's ridiculous. For the sake of your nanny's well-being during the flight. I'm glad you kept them far apart. Imagine what the flight would have been like with him, whining in a nearby seat. Of course, he'll act like a martyr for enduring the indignity of economy, but it's a life lesson nonetheless. I hope your nanny and her son enjoyed their time. Matt's lucky she still took him on vacation at all. Matt can't tell you what to do with your money, and is plain mean in classes to negotiate a downgrade in airfare for anyone. However, you've already tried taking privileges away by making him work and not supporting his perks. I don't think monetary punishment is going to work anymore. You need a new solution. I would try a family therapist to see what's at the bottom of his relationship with money and what you can do to change it. My husband and I have a modern-day Brady Bunch with my 2 kids, his daughter, and our child together. My 2 are in elementary school and our child together is a year old, and his daughter's a teen. His daughter only comes around in the summer, and due to the global issue, this is her first summer visit since her father and I got together in 2020. She's a very good kid and gets good grades. The only issue is that his daughter has a deep fear and disgust around one thing and one thing only: dogs. I was told that there was a general culture against dogs where she was raised, but that culture intensified when a tragedy occurred a few years ago involving dogs and some neighbor children. My husband's daughter saw the entire thing and it stuck with her. I have a 6-year-old golden retriever who my kids and I love dearly. I was worried that it could be a problem, but my husband told me it wasn't a problem, because it wasn't the same kind of dog, and she could be polite about it. It took about 4 hours. The day she landed, we came home from dinner and suddenly heard screaming from upstairs. It sounded like an emergency, so we rushed in. And it was because a few dog hairs had gotten on her clothes from Ogie walking through the room. She spent hours freaking out over it. She ran everything she had through the wash 3 full times, using an entire container of OxiClean in the process, and deep cleaned the whole room. We did everything possible to prevent Ogie from going near her room after that, and always kept the door closed, but it only worsened. She refused to sit on the living room furniture because it was dirty, obsessively vacuumed anywhere he could have been, until I hid the vacuum, and jumped back and screamed anytime he couldn't hide. But near her, it was obvious that something not good would happen if they continued living together. So we found an Airbnb down the street solely for her and split time there. We absolutely cannot afford to do that again for 3 more summers. My husband now wants to get rid of the dog because he thinks it's unfair that his daughter has to be kicked out of her home anyway, even if we did have the money. I will not get rid of Ogie. He's part of the family. I love him and the children who are all here more than her and are bonded to him. It's unfair to them to get rid of him for a part-time child. We've been arguing about this for days now, and his mom and ex-wife are involved because this affects his daughter. They're all saying I don't love his daughter and I'm playing favorites. I don't think I am. Thought the idiot. Keep your sweet pup and insist on therapy for the kid. But being so disgusted by a pet that you have to vacuum constantly is not healthy or normal. This is extreme behavior. She's not over the trauma of what happened. Your husband and his ex are doing her a disservice by not arranging therapy for her. Your golden pup is not the only dog she's likely to encounter, and the sooner she gets help, the better. I would also suggest that you consider that she acted out to this extent to exert control and damage her father's new family. It's possible to take her feelings about you and her replacement child and project them onto the dog. But all of her pain would make her reaction to this dog in this manner seem so real. Instead, she's funneling all that fear and rage toward the dog issue. I would also consider that her mother Mike's paternal family may have heightened her fears for their own purposes. I would not let a child who exhibited behaviors to this extent be alone in the room with my baby. She was able to split up your family home for the summer. What else is next? You are the idiot for calling her a part-time child. She is still your husband's child 100 of the time, whether she lives there daily or not. As a step-parent, that really rubbed me the wrong way. But she witnessed something deeply traumatic with dogs. She can't be expected to live with a dog. It's unreasonable to expect a teenager to get over that magically without some intensive therapy. The best solution, if at all possible, it is to have a friend or relative to take the dog while she's there. That's completely impossible. Then someone needs to work 2 jobs if necessary to afford either boarding the dog or the Airbnb. My sister and I are currently fighting over this, so I need to know if I did something wrong. I, female 33, have 2 sisters. Hannah, 40, and Sarah, 41. Sarah has 2 kids. Gina, a female tween, and Alec, male nearly an adult. Hannah has 1 daughter, Bay, a female teen. Sarah's family is pretty well off. Her kids have an easy life, and I'd say they're even somehow spoiled. Hannah, however, is financially struggling. Ai's birthday was 3 days ago. As tough teammates, I was thinking about what I should get her when I remembered. She told me a while ago that her laptop was broken. I knew Hannah couldn't replace it, so I decided to buy a Chromebook for her. But then I remembered how much she always wanted to play games, so I decided it would be nice if someone spoiled her for once. So I bought a gaming laptop instead. After her birthday, Sarah called and blew up at me. She said I'm an idiot because I always favor Faye. She said it's not fair that I gave Faye a gaming laptop, but only bought a pair of shoes for Alec's birthday, or that I spend a lot more time with Faye, which is because Gina and Alec are spoiled, so I enjoy spending time with Faye more. But over the past 3 days, she's told all of our extended family this and called me a bunch of names on Facebook because I gave my niece a gaming laptop for her birthday. And she said I'm an idiot because I gave her son a pair of shoes. Not the idiot. Tell your sister this wasn't a group decision, and you don't need her input on how to spend your money. She's well off, and her kids probably lack for nothing. If she pushes the issue, point that out. Ask her how she thinks Faye feels seeing her cousins with nice things that her mother can't afford. But turn that around on her, and point out how the underprivileged child is allowed to get nice things too, even if it's not from her parents, and that she should be doing the same thing to help her niece. And sister, it's not even a matter of favorites. It's sheer economics. She can afford whatever's needed for her kids. But your mutual sister can't. If she can't wrap her head around that, then that's her problem, not yours. Yeah. I think the question that Sarah poses is fundamentally flawed. It's not a question of why Ope is helping out her sister, who's a struggling single mom, but why Sarah isn't. Sarah's heartless, selfish, and even cruel. If she's well off, she should have been the one to buy her niece a laptop, not telling off Ope for stepping up and helping out. I don't think you're wrong to want to support your niece in a way her mom can't. But I also know children don't look at scenarios like this and see it in a pragmatic sense. Instead, they see that their aunt likes them less than their cousin, and that feels crappy. Agree. Everyone's the idiot here. So many people say, your money, your choice, which is true. But that's not what the situation is about. One kid is getting more attention and monetary value than the other two, and their mom. Sarah is mad about it. Sarah was being foolish and spoiled, but Ope is favoring one niece-nephew over the others, and even expressing it in a quantifiable way. Kids don't understand equity or privilege, but they do understand family, gifts, and fairness, and they'll remember this.